Caitlin was pissed. And dollars to donuts. She was angry. These coaches are angry because she's not running this offense. From the fourth quarter of the game before last, where she went bonkers, and last night, she's running the Caitlin Clark system. I'm going to be the most dynamic playmaker this league has ever seen, and it's not close. That's the system I'm running.
The internet is forever. They tried to scrub it. They tried to hide it. They wanted to wipe this entire situation completely off the face of the digital world because the reality of what is happening behind closed doors is too toxic for the mainstream narrative. But you cannot hide the truth when the fans are watching every single second. Unfortunately for the Indiana Fever, and unfortunately for Stephanie White, you cannot delete reality. My direct messages were absolutely blowing up. People were asking, "Did you see this video? Did you see what just happened on that bench?" And when I went to look for it, when I tried to track it down, it was already gone. They pulled it down fast. It was yanked. But they forgot one crucial thing. They forgot about the community. They forgot about the people who are recording, watching, and analyzing every single frame of this disaster. Shout out to John the Liquidator. Shout out to Venom. These guys were fast. They grabbed the video before the powers that be could erase it from history. And what this video shows is getting incredibly spooky. It is an atomic situation. What we are witnessing is not just a disagreement. It is an active sabotage of the greatest talent this league has ever seen. The footage shows Caitlin Clark absolutely going at it with the assistant coach on the bench. She was furious. And dollars to donuts, these coaches are angry because she is refusing to run their broken, outdated system. We saw it happen from the fourth quarter of the game before last, where she went absolutely bonkers. She threw the playbook out the window. Last night, she wasn't running the Stephanie White system. She was running the Caitlin Clark system. The system that says, "I am going to be the most dynamic playmaker this league has ever seen." And it is not even close. That is the system she is running, and the coaching staff simply cannot handle the fact that her system works and theirs is a complete and utter failure. We all know what Stephanie White wants. Good God, she wants 4 passes before a shot. She wants a slow, methodical, micromanaged offense. But Caitlin has realized a devastating truth. If she makes those passes, she is never getting the basketball back. Look at Kelsey Mitchell. Yes, she is a dynamic scorer, but if Caitlin passes her the ball, that possession is over for Caitlin. Kelsey is shooting that ball, you can guarantee it. She has zero intention of facilitating. And Caitlin is starting to realize that if she plays by Stephanie White's rules, her impact is completely neutralized. She is starting to see the trap. And Stephanie White is absolutely furious about it. I did a reaction right after the game last night. Yes, they won the game. But let me point out a glaring, massive, undeniable red flag that nobody in the mainstream media wants to talk about. The Indiana Fever got outscored in the second quarter. They got outscored in the fourth quarter. And do you know what those 2 quarters had in common? Caitlin Clark was sitting on the bench. Her coach put her on the bench. Against Seattle. Now, let us be brutally honest about the Seattle Storm for a second. There are no superstars on that team. One could easily argue there are no stars at all. It is a roster full of character actors, role players. So what happens when you remove Caitlin Clark from the equation against a team like that? You are left with Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, who played a hell of a game, and Lexi Hull. But make no mistake, without Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever lose to the Seattle Storm. They lose to what might genuinely be the worst roster in the entire league. Even with Aaliyah Boston in there, as hurt as she might be, they do not win that game without number 22. Let us look at what Caitlin actually did while fighting her own coaching staff. She dropped 21 points. She had 10 assists. She ripped down 7 rebounds. She had 2 blocks. And she did all of this in just 24 minutes of playing time. Are you kidding me? 24 minutes. If her coach had actually let her play 32 minutes, if they had taken the chains off, she would have effortlessly recorded a massive triple-double. But instead, her own coach is playing defense on her. It is absolute insanity. We even saw Caitlin get a massive block on Natasha Hiedemann and hit her with the legendary Mutombo finger wag. It was incredible. The swagger, the dominance, it was all there. But it was entirely in spite of the coaching she is receiving. And then we get to the sideline interactions, the moments they tried to delete, the video that states, "Fire them all." Stephanie White was visibly pissed at how Caitlin Clark ran the team in the first half. But let us look at the facts. The Fever were +11 in the first half when Caitlin was running the show her way. Then they were tied in the second half when the coaches tried to reel her back in. In the clip, Caitlin Clark is arguing with her coaches, and she looks completely and utterly done with their nonsense. She is done with the micromanagement. The assistant coach is standing right there, and they are just going back and forth because this coaching staff is fundamentally not fit to coach a modern-style player. You watch this video, and your jaw drops. Caitlin is trying to communicate with the team. She is trying to explain the flow of the game, and Stephanie White is just talking back, offering rebuttals, arguing every single point. It is exhausting, just to watch. Every single time Caitlin says A, Stephanie White says B. Caitlin is pointing, trying to explain the rotation, trying to show them what is happening on the floor, and the coach is just stonewalling her. How about you go to the unemployment line? How about you take that job with ESPN? Go join your wife, Lisa Salters, and call basketball games from a broadcast booth, because I think that is what you would really rather be doing anyway. You clearly do not want to coach a generational talent. You want to control a puppet, and Caitlin Clark is nobody's puppet. This situation is bleeding out into the real world, too. The consequences of stifling your superstar are showing up in the bank accounts. Let us talk about the attendance. The Indiana Fever were light by nearly 3,000 fans in attendance last night. That arena holds roughly 17,274 people. They had 14,505. That never happens. That is not supposed to happen with Caitlin Clark in town. The ticket resellers are completely trapped right now. The tickets at the very top of the arena, the ones that were selling for $50, $60, and $70 at the beginning of last year, they are completely worthless. You can buy them for $8 right now. $8 tickets to see Caitlin Clark because the fans are sick and tired of watching a coach put a restrictor plate on a Ferrari. The resellers cannot get rid of them. They are losing their shirts. People do not want to pay premium money to watch Stephanie White run a boring 4-pass offense that completely freezes out the most exciting player in the world. You have to understand the gravity of what we are witnessing. This is a historic clash of egos, and the coach's ego is destroying the product. I know people have clowned the stud buds in this league, but honestly, some of their attitudes are actually pretty good compared to what we are seeing from this coaching staff. I have listened to some of their live streams. Dave Portnoy even offered them a gig at Barstool Sports, and they turned it down. Portnoy saw the exact same thing I did. There is drama, there is entertainment, but what is happening on the Fever bench is not entertainment. It is tragedy. It is a complete mismanagement of assets. And I need to point something out for everyone who is defending the coaching staff right now. I looked ahead at the schedule. The Stephanie White truthers out there are going to start feeling themselves. They are going to try to give you the warm and fuzzies. They are going to point to the record over the next stretch of games and say, "Look, Stephanie White is figuring it out." But do not be fooled. Look at who they are playing. They are about to play a bunch of absolute trash. They are playing completely trash-tastic teams. You have expansion teams coming up. There are a couple of games against the Valkyries in there. They absolutely should win those games. They should win those games regardless of the internal civil war happening on the bench. Beating up on bottom feeders does not mean the system is working. It just means the talent gap is too wide for even bad coaching to ruin. But what is going to happen when the schedule flips? What happens when they actually have to face real contenders? What is going to happen when they get to the Atlanta Dream? What happens when they face the New York Liberty, the Dallas Wings, the Las Vegas Aces? What happens when they have to go up against the Minnesota Lynx? I will tell you exactly what is going to happen. If Caitlin Clark is not allowed to play her game, if she is forced to play within this broken, micromanaged system, this Fever team will lose by 15 or 20 points every single night. Against championship-caliber teams, you cannot afford to handicap your best player. The second unit on this Indiana team is just not good enough. And now we have no idea how long Aaliyah Boston is going to be dealing with her situation. The margin for error is 0. Yet, you have all these casual fans and media mouthpieces crying that we are overreacting. Oh, the fans are overreacting. The internet is being too harsh on the coaches. Listen to me. This is a short team. The roster is fundamentally flawed. If you do not let your superstar cook, you are screwed. What else do you want me to say? If you have Michael Jordan on your team, you better let Michael Jordan drop 30 points a game with 15 assists. You do not tell Michael Jordan to pass the ball 4 times and stand in the corner. If Caitlin Clark actually played 32 minutes, she is easily dropping 30 points on these teams right now. But she is fighting a war on 2 fronts. She is fighting the opposing defense, and she is fighting her own head coach. This is the Stephanie White effect. This is what it looks like when a coach's ego is bigger than the team's success. She is literally playing defense on her own player. It is mind-boggling. It defies all basketball logic. You draft a player who revolutionized the sport, a player who brings millions of new eyes, millions of dollars, and unprecedented hype to the organization. And your first instinct is to force her to conform to a slow, outdated style of play that completely negates her greatest strengths? It is coaching, malpractice. The fans see it. The ticket prices reflect it. The body language on the sideline proves it. Every time there's a timeout, every time there's a dead ball, you can see the friction. Caitlin is a basketball genius. She sees the floor like a chess master. She knows exactly where the gaps are, where the defense is vulnerable, and exactly how to exploit them. She knows that in transition, nobody can stop her passing vision. She knows that when she pulls up from the logo, the entire defensive scheme of the opponent collapses in panic, opening up the floor for everyone else. That is the Caitlin Clark system. Chaos for the defense, open looks for the offense. But Stephanie White wants control. She wants structure. She wants a half-court set where she can dictate every single movement from the sideline. She cannot stand the fact that Caitlin's improvisational brilliance is better than her drawn-up plays. So what do? They sit her down. They cut her minutes. They pull her out in the second quarter. They pull her out in the fourth quarter. And the team immediately bleeds points. The offense stagnates. Kelsey Mitchell takes contested, impossible shots because the ball movement dies the second Caitlin goes to the bench. Sophie Cunningham tries her best. Lexi Hull runs the floor, but the engine of the entire operation is sitting in a folding chair, visibly frustrated, while the coach pretends she is teaching a lesson in discipline. The only lesson being taught is how to ruin a franchise's momentum, and the front office is just watching this happen. They are watching the golden goose being suffocated. How long until the frustration boils over completely? How long until the most marketable athlete in the sport publicly demands a change? You cannot keep this a secret. The scrubbing of videos on social media is just a band-aid on a bullet wound. The internet caught it. John the Liquidator caught it. Venom caught it. We all saw it. You cannot unsee a player telling her coach to stop talking because the advice is actively hurting the team. You cannot unsee a superstar realizing that her biggest obstacle to winning isn't the team in the opposing jerseys, but the people holding clipboards on her own sideline. This is a crossroads for the Indiana Fever. They have to make a choice. Are they going to be the franchise that empowered a generational icon and rode her greatness to championships? Or are they going to be the cautionary tale of a front office that allowed a stubborn coach to alienate a legend? The $8 tickets are a warning sign. The drop in attendance is a warning sign. The leaked bench arguments are a warning sign. The alarm bells are ringing at full volume in Indianapolis. If they do not fix this immediately, the upcoming schedule will only provide false hope. They will beat the bad teams, Stephanie White will give a smug press conference about how the system is finally clicking, and then they will walk into a buzzsaw against New York or Las Vegas and get completely humiliated on national television. Because against the best in the world, a compromised superstar in a fractured locker room will get exposed in minutes. You cannot hide bad coaching against the Liberty. You cannot hide dysfunction against the Aces. Caitlin Clark is doing everything she can. She is giving you 21, 10, and 7 in 3/4 of a game while actively debating her boss. Imagine what she could do with a coach who actually believed in letting her run. Imagine the numbers. Imagine the highlights. Imagine the ticket sales returning to where they were supposed to be. It is not rocket science. It is basketball. Let your best player be your best player. Stop the micromanaging. Stop the ego trips. Let the Caitlin Clark system run. Because right now, the Stephanie White effect is driving this team straight into the ground, and the whole world is watching it happen in real time.